Hi, in this video I'm going to show how I drew a snow globe using HTML and CSS. I'm recording this after the fact, so the audio and the video may be a little bit off, but in general I will try to make it as close as possible. I started by adding a div that I'm going to use as a canvas. All the other HTML elements are going to go inside. And to make it easier to place them, what I do is that I create a grid using two repeating linear gradients, one vertical and one horizontal. Then I only need to count the squares, and each square is at 10%, so it's easier to know where each element needs to go. All the elements within the canvas are going to have a position absolute, so we need to set up some styles even before we start coding anything. First, I create the base of the snow globe by adding a div that is going to have curved borders on top and bottom, but not on the sides. We do that by using border radius with two values, horizontal and vertical, separated by a slash. Then we add the globe, which is going to be a div with a border radius of 50% or higher, so it's a circle, and we're going to place it in a way that fits within the base. Actually, I played a little bit with this, and what I did was reducing the size of the base so it matches the globe in itself. Then I duplicated the base so I could have different styles in front and back, and that way one of them would cover the globe in itself. I used a mask to cut the base that is on top of the globe, but then I realized later that I could have done it the other way around. I could have used the mask on the globe itself, and then I wouldn't need two bases, I would only need one base. This part is a mistake I did. I tried to simplify the mask by having it in a variable and applying it both to WebKit mask and mask, but it didn't work. Probably I had a typo or something, so feel free to ignore this part. I applied a horizontal repeating linear gradient to the base that is on top, so it would display some texture, like it's going up and down a little bit. And then I also applied some shadows, so it will give an impression of 3 dimensions. When you use 0 to specify a color stop in a gradient, sometimes the edge may be pixelized, so it's nicer to change it instead of to 0 to a percentage above, and the transition, the edge, will be a little bit smoother. Here I tried to add a shadow from the globe into the base, but it didn't work as I expected, so I had to do a lot of trial and error until I got what I wanted. Then I started working on the globe. I changed the color to something a little bit more realistic, and later I realized that if I was going to have things inside the snow globe, I was going to need two elements, two globes, one in front and another one behind. That was to make it a little bit more realistic with the shadows and with the base. The ground is going to be the cover of snow that is inside the snow globe. It's going to be an ellipse, and it's not going to be touching the edges because the ball in itself has to have some thickness. Then I added some shadows to the top ball to make it look a little bit more realistic. To finish the snow cover, what I did was drawing a circle and coloring it only from the ground below. I did this by adding a linear gradient that is transparent on top and a light gray at the bottom. I added some shadows to the globe to make it look a little bit more realistic. This is because now it only has like a glow in the outside, but in reality the shadows and the brightness doesn't work like that. Normally it's a little bit lighter in the outside, then some dark, then some light, there's some glow, some reflection of light, and that's what I tried to do now. And with that, the snow globe is done. It's empty, but the snow globe in itself is done. What I tried to do then was making the base look a little bit more realistic with the lights, but it didn't work as expected, so I undid it later. For the shadow, I used a radial gradient, but then later I used also a filter with blur to make it look more like a shadow. Then, as the light is coming from the right side, I move the shadow to the left a little bit. Adding more shadows to make the snow globe resemble a little bit more reality. Now comes a fun part. We're going to animate the canvas when the div is active. That means when the user presses or clicks on it, and you can see how initially I only made it red, the background. But what we're going to do is that we're using keyframes to make it shake a little, move to the right, to the left, up and down. I forgot that the canvas had a transform translate to place it in the center of the page, and because of that, when I added the rotate, it didn't look how it should. It took me a little bit to realize, but I ended up fixing it. The idea for the snowflakes is to have circles going from top to bottom with an animation. The animation would run only once, and we would reset it when the snow globe is active. That way, when the user stops pressing on the snow globe, the animation for the snowflakes will run again. This part is a little bit messy in the video. I added a bunch of snowflakes and then I changed their position and their animation delay depending on which child there were, so not all of them fell at the same time and not all of them were at the same position. I tried to do something generic with the snowflakes, but it didn't work. I was trying to have each of them with a different left and a different animation delay, and I was trying to make it in a way that it didn't matter how many snowflakes I added, it would work. But I didn't find a good way of doing it because in the end most of the snowflakes were at the same position at the same time. So I undid it and I ended up redefining 30 snowflakes and just defining the snowflake nth child styles for each of them. If you're using Sass or less instead of vanilla CSS, this can be done in an easier way by having a loop and then doing random to select the left position and the animation delay for each of the snowflakes. This is where the creative part begins. You can put whatever you want inside the snow globe. I started by adding a picture of myself that I clipped using ClipPad, and for this I use Clippy, a tool by Bennett Philly. And later I did a drawing of a snowman and put it inside the snow globe. I realized that all the snowflakes were going behind my picture. So to fix that, what I did was adding a Z index to the snowflakes. But when I did it, the snowflakes were outside of the snow globe. So that forced me to add a Z index also to the base and to the snow globe itself. I tried to make the base a little bit more realistic by adding more shades, but it didn't look how I wanted it to look. Still, I kept it, but not exactly how I wanted to do it. I finished the snow globe by removing my picture and adding a cartoon of a snowman. I did the drawing of the snowman using a single element with the div class something, and that made me think that maybe the whole snow globe could be done just with a single div. The thing inside the snow globe would be the element in itself. The globe, the glass would be the after, and the base would be the before. Maybe that's a challenge for later. And that's how you can draw a snow globe using HTML and CSS. Thank you for watching the video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments.